In further continuation to the study of immediate complication of the wound after hemorrhage and shock, now the next important complication is cardiorespiratory embarrassment. Such happens due to serious injury or serious affection of the abdominal region or thoracic region, and likewise where if the either of the system is badly damaged, as we know the respiration and circulation are strictly related functional entity. So if the circulation is seized or hampered, it will affect the respiration and vice versa. In this way, it is concluded that if any injury affects these systems to greatest extent, they may produce the cardiorespiratory embarrassment. Embarrassment, it means just the both becomes stand still. It means the respiration as well as circulation both becomes stand still, and it mimics the condition of death. Though it is not sufficient to define or confirm the death, as until the nervous function is not ceased, death cannot be confirmed. Now the next is injury to bone and joint. This is the next immediate complication following any injury. If the impact is laid upon the bone, it may terminate into the fracture or joint, and in this way the joint and bone may become affected. Again, the injury may be imposed upon the blood vessel or nerve. This may lead to profuse hemorrhage if blood vessel is damaged, especially if the larger or medium sized blood vessel, or if the nerve is injured, it may produce the features accordingly. And next, the injury of underlying viscera. The viscera present at the site of injury, it may be hampered, it may be affected accordingly, like if the injury is imposed upon the abdominal region, the most abdominal viscera like liver, spleen, stomach, and likewise same if the point of injury is thoracic region, then the lungs, heart, it is. In this way, the immediate complications has been counted or concluded. Almost these are the complications which tends to occur immediately after the. Now we shall undertake the delayed complication. Delayed complication includes mostly the two main complications. Number one, infection. We know the infection is most frequently represented by rise in temperature. But one thing must be borne into the mind, that the rise in temperature due to infection cannot be noticed before 72 hours, because any fresh wound takes minimum 72 hours to incubate the organism which opportunistically comes in contact with those damaged tissue and can establish infection. They are often associated with mild aseptic infection, mild aseptic inflammation, and for that purpose, in most of the cases, when after operation or within 6 or 12 hours, frequently attendant of the patient comes and says that, doctor, the patient has developed the temperature. But at that time, we give no importance to that information, because we know this is as a result of the traumatic condition. Trauma appears as a result of the surgical operation, and a slight rise in temperature may take place. But if the same rise in temperature is reported after 72 hours, it should be taken very seriously, that it represents the infection. An infected wound may be complicated with lymphangitis, cellulitis, and even suppuration and necrosis of the tissue. There may be tetanus, maybe gas gangrene, and likewise conditions may occur as a result of infection. And the next one is the crush syndrome. Crush syndrome, it refers to a limb when released after prolonged compression may follow the traumatic shock and uremia. Most frequently, such happens and frequently reported in mines, most frequently coal mines. In coal mines, what happens? The coal cutter enters inside the depth and started cutting the coal. At that time, if the layer of coal stone is something loose, following a stroke of his instrument, a large plate of coal may collapse upon his lower limb. Suppose lower limb is extended and a large plate of coal is collapsed, but the slab touches the ground in the way that it breaks in the middle and appears like this, and in between this slope his leg is almost safe. Only compression is imposed upon his lower limb. When he shouted about and his co-worker comes to rescue him, at the time he is quite conscious and he is instructing his co-workers that don't be in panic and remove the coal blocks very carefully. I am quite right. Nothing is wrong with me. My leg is quite right. No any fracture or no any injury has been imposed upon it. It is just compressed. It is just under pressure. You please reveal or relieve the weight. And they started relieving the weight. And he is talking quite pleasantly. But just with release of the last slab and his limb becomes completely free of the pressure, suddenly he becomes unconscious. What happens? Here, due to pressure, the blood were compressed upside and the veins of the lower portion are almost empty due to the pressure. And when pressure is released, a sudden rush of blood reaches to that part, producing a relative lack of blood in the upper portion, and that induces the condition of shock, that is a variety of traumatic shock, and the patient becomes unconscious. Now, the next one is the late complication. These are the contraction and deformity after wound. When the recovery takes place, if there is much damage of the tissue, if there is much repair by fibrous tissue, and likewise condition produces certain deformity in the normal structure of the limb, or it may produce contracture which may be liable to be long life disability. On the whole, these are the complications which tends to occur in case of wound. Thank you. Now at the end, we shall talk about the principles of the management of wound on the whole. The entire strategy should be divided into two parts, that is the emergency treatment and second is the proper treatment. Under emergency treatment, first of all, we shall undertake the primary management of the wound. For this purpose, we shall take a sterile dressing and cleansing of the wound with cotton and non-irritant antiseptics to prevent the further sepsis. The limb may be immobilized over a splint or a wooden piece. And secondly, maintenance of adequate airways and prevention of cardiopulmonary embarrassment. Still further, if there is shock or hemorrhage, it should be treated accordingly as described priorly. Now, the prophylaxis against the tetanus and gas gangrene should be given, and afterward the symptomatic treatment is to be installed. How far the proper treatment is concerned, it is to be carried out after ascertaining the cause of injury, time of accident, assessment of the shock, examination of the nature of extent of the injury, etc. Now, what is the pattern under which the wound healing takes place? A wound may heal in the following ways, as the number one, healing by first intention. A clean operated and recently contaminated wound properly excised and sutured in a layer without leaving a dead space heals by the first intention. Most roughly, if the wound is clean cut and there is no gapping after opposing its edges, the healing takes place. under first intention. Now the healing by second intention, if it is a large gap, wound with considerable loss of skin cover or an infected wound, the wound heals by granulation and fibrosis resulting in scar or cicatrices. And the third, healing by third intention, if the primary suture fails or the wound is kept open after excision and sutured at a later date, the wound heals by the third intention. Now we shall discuss about certain homeopathic medicine in this regard, and the most frequently required medicines are the calendula, arnica, staphysagra, hamamelis, ledum pal, hypericum, ruta. These are the most frequently required medicine. As arnica has the reputation in the society in the way that most of the person knows the arnica about in the case of injury, and they keep it household as if some child falls, whatsoever be the type of injury, but they give arnica. Arnica is of such repute. Now it is not proper, although I am saying about its reputation. Actually, arnica is implemented in closed wound if the soft tissue is damaged. And the other thing, if the nerve is injured, if due to panic of the accident or injury, patient becomes unconscious, shock occurs, that is the traumatic shock. Under these all conditions, arnica is the first medicine to be given. Now, the likewise medicine is hypericum if the injury is imposed upon the nerve endings mostly, like finger tips, toe tips, testis, vertebral column, occipital region. If patient falls on in supine position and hurt on the occiput as well as vertebral column, the most imminent, most frequent and most firstly required medicine is hypericum in such cases. If the wound is open, there is lacerated wound. At that time, the calendula. Calendula is of more importance in incised or lacerated wound. So blood is coming out, serious infiltration of the cellular tissue. In open wound and ulcers, it limits the suppuration and assists in securing the primary union along incised surface. Great tendency to start and twitch and nervousness. Staphysagra, it is the medicine for use in clean cut incised wound, most frequently as the wound by broken glass, blade and likewise sharp instrument. Next one is ledum pal. When any pointing subject penetrates inside the body like pin, nail, and likewise substance. The most component, most prominent and most efficient medicine is Leadenpall. Now this Leadenpall is also used in the closed wound where the injured area turns blue. Like this blue coloration after injury is also under arnica, but both are given according to their features. These are the most frequently used medicine if the wound is of mild to moderate range. When the wound exceeds in range and comes under the emergency, at that time the management is subjected more towards the actually management, and medication is afterward. And in this way we can conclude by thinking in the mind that the individual aspect of wound must be given the proper and particular specific intention. Otherwise, the wound on the whole can be tackled depending upon these principles, and in this way you can manage the wound adequately. And now it is the almost end of the chapter of wound. Thank you.